Hey gang, Ronan here. As you can see in this game, I'm once again playing the Tier 7 Imperial Japanese Navy cruiser Myōkō. This is the fourth in a series of replays that I'm highlighting. The first two with the Tier 6 Aoba, the third with Myōkō, and now this will be the last in this series to demonstrate what I consider to be, if not the best, because I'm certainly not a Unicum cruiser player, far from it, but at least an effective playstyle for these ships. I chose this to be the fourth in the series because not only does it highlight the points that I've been making in the last few videos, but it demonstrates that it can be very effective. To reiterate what I've been kind of hitting on the last few videos, there are some priorities, and I think these are to some degree true probably for all of the cruisers in the game, but certainly for this line. Help my team with red destroyers. And you can see that the Lexington is already out here checking things out. Help my team with red destroyers. Light fires on battleships from range. And try to angle my ship in such a way as to minimize the surface area for shells from red ships to strike. The Myōkō is a gigantic floating citadel. That is also true of Aoba, but with Myōkō you are often facing Tier 9 ships. Now in this case, I am mid-tier. There are tiers 6, 7, and 8. But there are still some significant battleship threats. I think, in terms of the shell damage, it's tough to beat what Kansas can do. Now, I'm talking about angling, and then I'm sitting back here broadside. Why am I doing that? Well, it's not something that I generally will do at all, but there are a lot of targets between me and the red ships, and I really just kind of want to get the lay of the land. And now I'll begin to position in earnest where I think I'm needed most. This particular game, the majority of the game, I am going to be kind of in this same area. And you can see our Akatsuki gets blapped less than 3 minutes in by the enemy Lexington. I think he sat there a little bit too long before smoking, and then wasn't able to angle to avoid those torpedoes. So we're down a ship very early. I was really hoping I could finish Farragut, but our Farragut does the job. Both teams now down a destroyer. We are down an Akatsuki. Bad guys are down a Farragut. Now, when I say that this game kind of demonstrates the things that I've been talking about, but also that this can be an effective playstyle, what do I mean by that? Well, I managed to survive all the way to the end of the game, I'll tell you that. I end up with 156,371 damage, which, while it's certainly not going to set any records, is a respectable amount of damage. I land 192 shells on target, shoot down 12 aircraft. Somewhere during this game, get an incapacitation, start 14 fires, defend a cap 6 times, and detect 2 ships on my own. Ultimately, I ended up with 2,782 base XP, and I want to give a shout out to both the Farragut player, who had a base XP at the end of the game of 2011, and our Shikaku captain, who had a base XP of 1961. And you can see their CV. He's pressing the attack. Now, while I was talking there, the enemy team lost their Hatsuharu. And I've gone dark and I'm repositioning. I'm looking at the mini-map right now and I'm thinking Gneisenau might come between those two islands there that you can see kind of at Echo 4 and 5. I don't want to push forward any more than I have to. Got two KGVs sitting right there, and a Bismarck who has pushed forward, and you can see what's happening to the Bismarck. And I'm looking at the situation right now saying, okay, we're probably going to lose the Bismarck here within the next minute or so. Gneisenau seems to have kind of held up. Can I at least start a fire on Gneisenau? Just looking for where I might be able to put shells on him. And I'm going to keep pushing forward here, because there's a North Carolina that's pushing the Delta Cap. And so they're in it. The Red Vanguard takes out our North Carolina. The North Carolina that I was talking about at the Delta Cap takes out our Hipper. And that leaves just that North Carolina squaring off versus a Vesteris. And so I've got a few volleys on the Gneisenau. And put torpedoes in the water for the North Carolina, but Vesteris, well, he was able to finish off the North Carolina, but there goes our Bismarck. So a whole lot has happened in the last minute and a half or so. But our Hipper and Vesteris were able to hang on to the Delta Cap, and our team of King George V just finished off the Gneisenau. So at this point, both teams are down 5 ships. And I haven't really done much of anything. I mean, you can take a look up there right now, less than 15,000 damage. Our Bismarck's asking for, saying that basically some fighters, I guess, is what he was. I can't, I mean, maybe he was thinking that the KGVs should have pushed up with him, but anyway. This has been a brutal first, almost 8 minutes. But in keeping with what I was saying a little bit ago and in the preceding 3 videos, it's very important not to get blapped early. And that's true, I think, of any ship type in any game. And there Charles Martel does take out that Bismarck that pushed forward. Now, the red team's made a big push. They are around the bend. They're in the southern hemisphere of the map, or southern half of the map. And I am going to try and get some fire started on this KGV, who is reversing. I was really hoping to see our Shikaku stay a little closer on this side, but he moves farther and farther to the east, and there's a fire. And I could see shells coming my way, so I just slowed down and turned in and was able to juke those shells. Fire continues to burn. And I'm looking at this situation and I'm saying, alias Ethan, I think he's probably about to get sunk. He is kind of the focus of the majority of the red team's gunfire. Vanguard, Charles Martel, King George V, and Helena. And there's just really no way he's going to be able to withstand that. There are a couple more fires. Now I'm going to switch to the Charles Martel. And I'm just kind of on the lookout for incoming shells. And he jukes my shells pretty well there. He's going to show me broadside. And I'm able to finish him off as our vanguard takes out the KGB that was kind of leading our defense on this side. Now I'm just trying to keep the cap reset, as to whatever degree that I can, and set some fires. No fire there, but decent damage, almost 7,000 damage. And our CV is working over that vanguard. You can see his engines are out. If you're new to the game, you're not familiar. When you see smoke and fire coming out of the exhaust there, ouch. That means the engine's been damaged. You got steam and fire shooting out of the top of the ship like that. And I think we're going to be able to finish the vanguard. I've got Pensacola and Farragut on this side helping me. And their Helena's pushing up. I think he probably should have pushed up a little bit earlier. He was going to try and get guns on the Farragut, but so we're able to drag down the vanguard. Both teams now down to 4 ships. We are 11 and a half minutes or thereabouts into the game. And I'm going to try and keep the cap reset as long as possible. Didn't really do anything there, but I did defend the cap, reset it a little bit. KGB and Helena both in the cap circle now. And you can see how far our Shikaku has gone the other way. And I have to be really careful here, because that KGB is trying to line up a shot on me. There's almost 6,000 on the Helena. You can see I'm starting to turn back out as I drop my speed. I do eat a little bit of damage there, but it's not as bad, I guess, as it could have been. And I am going to fall back, go dark, let my detection radius help keep me safe, because right now that KGB is in a position to be able to do me some serious harm. Our Farragut can go dark with smoke, and that's exactly what he's doing. And he's putting down a smoke cloud that I think he was hoping I'd be able to make use of. But given where I was kind of in the middle of my turn, not able to put it to as good a use as maybe I could have. So I'm going to go ahead and come all the way around. Just use my forward guns, but I'm going to try and make use of that smoke. The only issue there is that without aircraft okay, now he's detected. Somebody to spot him. And now, thanks to the Farragut, I'm able to fire on the KGB. How about that dispersion? Fire on the KGB from behind smoke. And the Leander is chasing our Shikaku over on the eastern side of the map as the rest of my guns come around. And I am detected. See the aircraft on the way here. The guns on that KGB appear to be pointed to the Pensacola, who is also showing a lot of side. So it was actually the Helena that was initially spotting me, although it's the aircraft now. But dispersion is not being particularly kind right at the moment, but that'll change. So I'm able to go dark again. I think I just ran outside the edge of that smoke. There's another fire. Now I need to keep an eye on his guns, which direction they're pointing. Yeah, and they're pointing right at me. You can see I've started to turn out. Now I'm going to come back in. As long as he's still firing HE, it's not that I'm not concerned at all, because I certainly am. But I'm not as concerned about the HE as I would be AP. Alright, so taking a look at the big board. The bad guys have all but one cap, and they're about to secure that. So they've got three of four caps, and they're just now they have all four caps. Still have 4 minutes in the game. They're down almost 200 points. But now it's kind of a question of, you know, how can they manage the win? Do they try to smash the Farragut? Well, yeah, that's exactly what they're going to try and do. They're going to try and use aircraft to smash the Farragut. They know right where he's at. As he gets into the Bravo cap. Now, maybe he secures the cap, which that's the goal. But in the short term, he's just preventing them getting the points there. You can see my question for the CV. I'm beginning to get a little bit worried. It's a Leander, about as squishy a cruiser as you will ever find. And our Shikaku's really struggled. Now, I have to again say, our Shikaku had a great game. I'll remind you that his base XP was almost 2,000, which is, it's a good game. 1,961 base XP. And again, for the Farragut, 2011 base XP. You can see our Farragut he's almost out of HP, and the CV continues to strike him. But I know, based on the minimap, that the Helena and the CV are here. Now I can see them. And I'm going to try my darndest to finish off the Helena just as quickly as I can. It's 4,000. If I can get another volley like that, Helena's a gunner. He's going to show me some side, which is going to help out a lot. And that's going to allow me to start getting guns on the Lexington. Now I have to be careful here, because you can see that the rocket planes are on their way in. So I'm going to try and angle up against that a little bit. Just trying to narrow my profile so it can't get my broadside. And he does do some damage, and now it's just chip damage on the Lexington. I thought about switching to AP, but I didn't want my shells to bounce if you hit the deck or an angled section of the side of the ship. Even with the 203s, you can still bounce. I'm just going to stick with the HE that I know does consistent damage. I'm going to have to turn in here against these incoming torpedo planes, but I want to get all the guns off before I do that. We've got a minute and a half. We've got one cap, they've got three, and they are closing the gap. And I'm going to just slide around the edge of the torpedoes and continue to press my attack. I need to angle against these torpedoes now. See, I'm doing that and also trying to keep the guns on the Lexington. And our Shikaku, way to go, the trick pony, finishes off that Leander. I'm just trying to get to that torpedo before it can arm, and I managed to do that so it doesn't do any damage. Down to 43 seconds. We've still got a points lead, and this game is in the bag. So right now, really all I'm doing is farming damage on this Lexington. Yep, I understand the trick pony. You'll forgive my being a little bit anxious about what was going on over there. So I'm I'm looking at the possibility of a Kraken here as we wind down the game, and in fact I do secure the Kraken. And so, as I said, this can be a very effective ship and play style. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks very much. I'll see you next time.